Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
My name's Mike. I'm an alcoholic. Glad to be sober today, and I'm grateful God showed me mercy instead of justice. I want to thank Lonnie and the committee inviting me up here, me and my wife up here. If that jambalaya is anything like we're going to do this weekend, we fixed to have some fun in here now. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce my wife, Terry, in the back. Stand up, Terry. I'm watching you, man. Oh, we had a nice trip up here. We come up 190 from Baycliff. That's a little town right in between Galveston and San Leon and Kemah, all the devastated areas down there. We were real fortunate. It blew down our back fence, and that's the only fence that I didn't replace, so it needed replacing. And Fred Sanford it back together so the bulldog wouldn't get out, and we come on up here. I was reaching in my pocket a little while ago to get my glasses, and I found something. Big Al Riggs. I don't know if any of y'all knew Big Al. He was a hero of mine, and he's a hero down in our area. He passed away in March of 2008 with 35 years of sobriety. And I'd like to dedicate this talk to Big Al. He was a great guy. I'm telling you, a real good guy. 65 years old, 35 years sobriety, married the love of his life right here in Alcoholics Anonymous. His wife was an active member, Jeannie Riggs, of Al-Anon. He was going to get him a cup of coffee. They'd retired up in Huntsville. He was getting him a cup of coffee to sit with his wife and, and start the day together. Dropped dead. We're all a little mad at him still. But I guess if that's the way to go, real quick and easy. I got his grandson comes over to my shop on Wednesdays after school and helps wash bikes and do stuff like that. A little uncomfortable here with this microphone, so I'm going to kind of mess with it until I get comfortable with it. One thing for sure tonight, I ain't going to let the truth get in the way of a good story. Now, let's just understand that right off. I want to apologize for looking like this. I know I don't look like an alcoholic. But if I was to come up here with anything less than a suit and a tie on, my sponsor would come up here and hit me with a big book or something. This is out of respect for Alcoholics Anonymous. Walter Hall, he was up here last year, I believe he talked. That's my sponsor. And he wanted me to tell you that he wanted to come up here, but he had a prior engagement. He was the voice of a conference down in the Houston area, and the conference got canceled, and he was planning on coming, but he got a real big job Thursday. I mean big job, like $350,000, and he said to tell y'all hi. I believe if Bill W. and Dr. Bob was up here, Walter just had to say hi because he was staying down there, take care of his business. My sobriety date is January the 30th of 94 this time. I've got a whole bunch of other dates, and not all of them's back here, but I got a lot of them written down in the back of the book, and I may get into that. I may not. I want to say that without Alcoholics Anonymous, I would not have a life. And on the way up here today, my phone gave me that idea that it had a message on it. It didn't ring, I guess, because we were in the hills of East Texas. But we got on top of a hill, and I opened my phone up, and it was Walter, and he'd left me a message. And it kind of went like this. He said, you know, you got a home, you got a lovely wife, you got money in the bank, you got a successful business, got a God in your life, and you got sobriety and a fellowship around you. What more could a man ask for? And it kind of broke me down a little bit when I heard that. I put it on speaker and let Terry listen to it. Because he's right. I can't tie in how a thing like me ends up in a good spot like this. Only through Alcoholics Anonymous and a loving God. I'll start my talk off with a little joke. Kind of ease it up for me. If you would, whenever I get to the punchline, I'll do like this. Y'all do like that, and then we'll get rocking and rolling on this thing. If you're thinking we're going to have a sad talk tonight or anything, it ain't happening. I'm going to share joy with you, and we're going to laugh, and we're going to have a good time and kick off this conference with some laughter. I believe laughter is healing. I believe it opens up something in the mind where God or the Spirit can come in. The joke's in East Texas, just where we come through, little bitty town, had one church in it. And the preacher and the deacons of this one church had them a little meeting going on. They meet every Wednesday night, right after prayer meeting, and they were talking about folks. Discussing things in the church. And they got to talking about the town liar. You know, a little bitty town, everybody's got a town liar. Well, they had him pegged, and they were talking about him, and they got to thinking, you know what? That man's been here his whole life. He's been lying his whole life. Let's go ahead and teach him a lesson and try to give him a little repentance. So, okay, we can do that. They talked about it a while. Nobody volunteered. The preacher said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go out to his house tomorrow and tell him a big outlandish lie and learn him a lesson. So the preacher went out to the liar's house the next day and knocked on his door. Sure enough, the preacher was home. The liar was home. He invited the preacher in. Come on back, preacher. I'll put coffee on. Preacher went back and sat at the kitchen table. Liar started coffee. Preacher got to thinking, well, as good as any, I might as well tell him now. He said, did you hear what happened last Wednesday night at prayer meeting? Liar said, no, sir. Preacher went into it. He said, all of a sudden, come running up through the center aisle was a little cur dog chasing a big grizzly bear. He run that grizzly bear all the way back behind the pulpit, and all we heard was growling, snapping, hair flying everywhere. After a couple of minutes, dead silence. That cur dog done killed that grizzly bear. Now, he had the liar's attention. He said, do you believe that? Liar never even stopped, looked at the preacher dead in the eye and said, yes, sir, that's my dog. So really, if it wasn't for Lonnie and James over there, I'd probably have bumped my sober date up about 10 years. Y'all don't know me. I'd be like that liar. Walter said, go ahead, they'll never believe it. I was born in Louisiana and raised on the Texas side. I was brought up in a little town called Pasadena. It's a little south of Houston. As far back as I can remember, and I don't remember much, I actually never thought I ever fit in. I was always against the grain. And about age 11, I took my first drink. It wasn't a drink of wine. We were going to scout camp, and my buddy's dad had a liquor cabinet. We put a whole bunch of different liquors in this fruit jar, got out to scout camp, and I took a drink. Now, I don't remember everything that happened. I believe I blacked out. I do know that I drank until the age of 37 years old. Now, I wasn't an alcoholic ever since age 11. That was just my first drink. Jambalaya kind of makes you thirsty. I ended up in reform school at 13, penitentiary at 17. I got out the penitentiary. I didn't go to my folks' house. I hadn't been home since I was 13. And I just kind of got out and started running. And you know, you're not going to hear anything about a profession or a family or a college education, because I didn't have none of that. I never slowed down. I didn't have a life till I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. In fact, I didn't get a DWI 1. And most people in here, how many people in here had DWIs? A lot of them doing that. Well, I didn't own a car till I was 35. It's hard to get a DWI if you don't have a car. I got out the joint and I started living in a beer joint, sleeping on a pool table. Let me give you a drunk of logs, and we'll move into recovery. I don't want to stay too drunk too long. Big Al might do something, hit me with a bolt of lightning or something up there. Here's typical Mike. I was riding a motorcycle, coming through Houston about 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if I was going somewhere or coming back from somewhere. That's how drunk I was. It was raining real hard. And I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with Houston, but it's got a high-rise kind of highway that goes across Houston. It's an elevated area. And I come down out that elevated area into a little town, a little area of Houston called the Montrose. It's a culture area. And I pulled down there, and I'm drunk, and I'm angry. I'm always angry. I was an angry drunk, very violent drunk, time bomb. And I pull in this little restaurant and order me some breakfast. When I took a bite of my eggs, they were cold. And I look up, ain't nobody there but me and the cook. I said, "Hey, my eggs are cold." He looked at me and said, "Well, you ought to be. You've been laying in them for 2 hours." Now, this is typical Mike. I'm drunk. I come in, I order eggs. Everybody else in the place vacates, which they had good reason to. I fall in my eggs, wake up, take a bite, blame the cook. Egg stuck to my head. I believe in that particular drunk, I threw the eggs and the whole plate at the guy, got on my motorcycle and left, and I don't know where I ended up. A few years later, I'm living in Beaumont. I don't have a motorcycle. I'm on foot. And I'm on the lam. I had to vacate to Beaumont because I was in trouble in Houston. I don't know what kind of trouble, but I'd hit somebody. They were tickets. I don't know. They didn't want me in Houston. So I'm up in Beaumont working for a little steel company, riding with a guy back and forth to work. He had a car. He also had a home. Let me stay in one of his rooms. About 2 months go by, and I call Houston, the people in Houston, and they had forgot. Just like the book says, the alcoholic forgets, so do the other folks. They forget after a while. Their eyes done healed up, all their stuff's out the pawn shop. They done forgot about old Mike. So they invited me down, so they were going to have a party. Come on down. I said, you know what? I think I will. So that weekend, me and my friend with the car, Friday night, bought us a bottle of whiskey, loaded up and drove to Houston. We get to Houston, we're drunk. We no more pull up at these people's house, and I turn on the driver and hit him. Make a pedestrian out of myself right off. He left. So last time I seen that man, he left me bleeding above one eye going to Beaumont at a high rate of speed. And I'm there. Let's jump it up from Friday night to Sunday evening. I'm down at the Greyhound bus station downtown Houston. I don't have any friends anymore that invited me down. I done got drunk and turned on them. And I guess I had enough money to buy a ticket to Beaumont. And I had a half a pint of whiskey on me, and I had about half of it left, just a good dust cutter. And I was fixing to load up on the bus, and I got my whiskey, and I drank it, and threw it in the trash can and turned, and the bus driver was watching me. And I thought, oh, man. So I tried to get on the bus, and he said, you know how they stand right there helping people load up? Nuh-uh, you can't load up. I said, please, sir. I told him the same story I told you about coming down to visit friends. I left out all the hitting. He said, well, load up, but you're drunk. One peep out of you, and I'll put you on the side of the road. I said, look, man, I swear, I'll be good. I loaded up. Next thing I know, I wake up, and it's dark, and I can hear them road bumps hitting. Dooka, dooka, dooka. I'm looking around, I'm thinking, you know what, this don't look like the road to Beaumont. Well, it wasn't. He was right. I was drunk. I come to in Alexandria. straight through Beaumont. 3 o'clock in the morning, yelling and screaming in the bus stop, blaming everybody. I don't even remember leaving Alexandria. I don't know how that drunk ended. I kept doing that on my own until I run into a gal that had a house. And I fell in love, and we got married. Went down to a judge, and I moved into her house. And that was my first introduction to somebody letting me know that I was alcoholic. Nobody ever stopped me and said, Mike, you got a drinking problem. Something's wrong with you, man. I never stayed lit long enough. This woman started informing me. We had a real stormy romance. I don't think we were married 2 or 3 months. I don't remember all the details. But I do know that she pointed me towards Alcoholics Anonymous, and for that I'm grateful. I got here in 1986, come out of the county jail on an aggravated assault charge, and went down to the Spring Branch Club in Houston, picked up my first Desire chip. I'd like to say I stayed sober then, but I didn't. What happened was Alcoholics Anonymous made me aware of some things about Mike. I wasn't ready to stop. In fact, I was just becoming ready to look. And I started trying to stay stopped, and I couldn't. And I made the round of detoxes, went to 12 different detoxes, made the circuit. I don't know if y'all got any circuits here, but I knew everybody in all the detoxes, and we all knew each other. A lot of the guys detoxed together. We'd travel around and wanted to be there, and they'd invite the other one, come on in, we got beds here. And I did that. And let me tell you about the disease of alcoholism in my life. It started out when I got here in 1986 and picked up that first Desire chip. I was having a real hard time with violence. I was a daily drinker. I had no future. I divorced a woman that I had just married 2 months before, and I was on a real bad losing streak. Now, when I picked up this last Desire chip, I knew what it was like. Is that a cute kid or what? There was looking at him. Hi. I knew what it was like to have DTs. I knew what it's like to have convulsions. I knew what it's like to go to a hospital. This last desire chip, January 30th of 94. Let's start there. I've had a real exciting sobriety. I guess the first 6 months I lived in Pasadena. I had a gal friend. Her name was Sonya. I called her Junior. And Junior had an apartment. So Mike had an apartment. You can do the math on that. She had a little time in sobriety. And I had 6 months of sobriety on this sober date here. And a series of events changed my life. First event, my sponsor died. He had to be rushed to the hospital. He had some kind of something wrong with his heart, but they had to take a vein out of his leg or something like that. And when they were doing that, he died on the operating table. 49 years old, named Spencer Andrews, had real good sobriety. We had already worked through the steps in 6 months. I was playing baseball for the Legacy Club, which is a little AA club down there, doing service work, shagging a fly off a second, broke my arm. And I must have yelled at Junior because she left. So at 6 months sober, I had a dead sponsor, a broken arm, no gal friend, and the people at the apartment, it was in her name. They didn't want me there. And they told me, we don't want you here. And I made a decision to move. Yeah. You know how we do it. It took me a little while to make that decision. I thought it over. Grabbed my stuff in a paper bag and went to a little town called Baycliff, Texas. That's where I'm at now, in the same home. In fact, that's really my only real home, my only real address that wasn't somebody else's, like a Junior or a Bubba or a pool hall or a pool table. And I got out there and I had 6 months of sobriety, and it was about 18 miles from Pasadena. Beautiful spot. It's right by Kemah. I don't know if y'all ever been to the Houston area. It got devastated with this storm, but it's beautiful. Sometimes I go over that big bridge, that big Kemah bridge, and I think to myself, my, how in the world did you end up here? What kind of good God has honored Mike's willingness? That's all he does. He honors our willingness. There's no trick deal to this. I become willing, God honors it. And he continues to do that. Anyway, I get to the Baycliff, got me another sponsor, because by this time I was ready. I told you when I picked up my first desire chip, all the detoxes, all the DTs, all the hospital, all the tremors. I was ready to stop, and I knew I was. I didn't want no more. When Spencer died, I got another sponsor. When Junior left and I had to leave, I went and got a home in Baycliff. Now, I had one problem. I didn't know where to go to meetings in Baycliff. I'd heard of one place called the Creek Club, and it's not organized like this. It's an outlaw club. They don't have no GSRs. They're not giving no money to nowhere. And I'd like to tell them they're doing it wrong, but they've been there 50 years. So I get to Baycliff, and I know good and well I'm not going to drive 18 miles to Pasadena and 18 miles back every day. It's not country miles, it's city miles. And I'm an iron worker. At least I was an iron worker. And I knew darn well I wasn't going to get and drive every day like that, so I went to the Creek Club. Because by this time, I'm making a meeting a day, and I probably made a meeting a day on this sobriety date for the first 8 years. I believe in what they told me, and it's true for me, and I tell everybody that I can tell. 5 to 7 meetings for the first 5 to 7 years. You got to have a foundation. Thank God. And as I go on about my sobriety, you'll be thankful that I had it. I know I am, because I needed that foundation. I pulled some real clodhopper moves in sobriety. And I needed to know where to go when I didn't know where to go, if you know what I'm saying. Well, I got 6 months. I'm living in Baycliff, got me a new sponsor, and I'm sitting down at the Creek Club. They start their meetings at 6 o'clock, and I was trained well. Them rednecks in Pasadena train you. You sit here, you be ready at 6 o'clock with your coffee. You better take care of all your business. Don't be getting up, walking around. And that's the way I was trained. So I'm sitting at the Creek Club, this outlaw club, with my coffee at 6 o'clock. Nothing. They're standing around joking, kidding, smoking, grabbing each other. I'm thinking, watching my clock real closely. 5 after 6, nothing. 10 after 6, smoking, joking, grabbing. I'm thinking to myself, you're going to die. You ain't going to make it here. About 12 after they start the meeting. As soon as the meeting's over, I run to the payphone and call my new sponsor and told him what I just told you, the whole thing. And he listened. He said, are you through? I said, yes, sir, that's about it. He said, I want you to listen. I want you to listen real closely. He said, I want you to make that meeting for the next 90 days. I just slammed the phone down. Now, I knew better than to say anything to him. Remember all the detoxes and all that stuff? I'm ready. I'm teachable. I ain't liking it, but I'm teachable. And I did what he said. And you know, them folks got better. They had to come out to my home. I moved in that home. It's a house. Now, I moved in this house in Baycliff in August, late July and August. And my first electric bill was $12. I'd heard about them high prices. You plug stuff in, your bill would go up. And I'm sharing that in a meeting, because I've never paid an electric bill. And them folks come over to my house, a couple of them old timers, you know how they are. Made me plug in my refrigerator, turn on the air conditioner. Look, Mike, you got a job. You can afford this. You know, ain't it good to be done? Really, just to be done and okay, man, what do I do now? And they started showing me, just like you do. I can't do this on my own. Today, if I want to branch out on my own, if I stay out there too long, I'll self-destruct. And I know that, and I see it all the time. This is the We program. Thank God for those meetings every day. I still make a lot of meetings. And I'm going to tell you that before I sit down. I'm going to give you my meeting schedule and the great joy that I have in Alcoholics Anonymous today. What a deal. Well, I'm down there at the creek, going to meetings every day, doing what y'all are suggesting, most of it grudgingly, but I'm doing it. They had me go down to the dentist and get me some teeth. You know how that works? All the newcomers got new teeth. After a while, got me a truck. I call it a new truck, but it wasn't new, but it was a new truck to me. And I guess the years rocked along. And one Saturday morning, I'm leaving my home in Baycliff, going over that beautiful bridge, thinking how great life is. You know, I got around a year. How good looking I am, you know, that kind of stuff. And kind of rehearsing what I'm going to bring to the meeting. Well, as you go over the top of that bridge, you better check yourself because the meeting's on the bottom. So I look up in the mirror and I'm checking myself, make sure, and I smile, and I left my teeth at home. Man, I'll tell you what, that's 1 year sobriety. I'm telling you, man. Oh, it's rocking along and it's doing good. God, you know how good it gets, man. Get involved. They start giving you jobs. They put me with the Alateen sponsor. Man, I'll tell you what, I ain't got no kids. I did 7 years Alateen sponsor. One of the greatest joys of my life. And I'll tell you what, I'll be at my shop, or I'll be at the mall, or I'll be at an AA meeting. One of them kids will come up and ain't kids no more. They're grown-ups. They get in lives and they thank me and just talk to me, and I can't tell you how that feels. It just feels good. I'll just label that as good. It's a good feeling. Well, I'm doing what they say. I'm making meetings. Scared to go anywhere else. I'm pretty much confined to the Creek Club. And about 4 years rocks by, living in this rent house. And I got to thinking, you know, what's a good-looking guy like me doing hanging out at this Creek Club with all these old-timers? I truly believe I've reached a plateau and I need to move on. And I informed them of that. They'd opened up a new club down at one of them resentment clubs down the road. Bunch of pretty girls in there. And I explained to everybody in one of the meetings, you know what, I appreciate you guys. You've really helped me. I believe I've reached a plateau here, and I'm going to move on to this other club. So the next day I went down at noon meeting, went to Walmart, got me a clean shirt, went on in the meeting hall. This is 4 years sober now. Get there, sitting in the back, checking things out. And apparently the leader spots me and he starts talking about predators. Well, I run up and hit him in a meeting. Now, 4 years sober. Run up there and popped him. And Big Al and Walter was there. That's my sponsor. That's y'all's speaker last year. And the guy runs in to call 911 on the payphone. And I'm going to go follow him in there, try to, and explain to him how I didn't mean to hit him. It was just a reaction. And Big Al stopped me in the hallway. He said, leave. I said, no, I got to go in there and explain this. He shook me. He said, leave. Me and Walter will take care of it. Well, I left, and they took care of it. And I went back to the Creek Club. I mean, immediately went back. I didn't go home. I went back. And, you know, if I would have hit the lottery or saved somebody's life, I'd have had to go in there and announce it in the meeting. They wouldn't have heard. By the time I got over to the creek, which is about 20 minutes away, I believe they telegraphed them people over there. I was going to go in and explain them old-timers sitting out waiting for the meeting to start. I got a little room back over there. They gang up on you when you come through the door. I was going to explain to them that maybe I'd had a rash decision and maybe I need to start making, keep my meeting schedule over there. And they told me, I didn't even get it out of my mouth. They said, you know what, Mike, you need to sit down and shut up. We already heard. And I was at the creek for another year. Didn't leave. I went to meetings every day for another year there. And I finally ended up locating that fella, and I was able to make amends to him. I'd never met him before. I didn't know who he was. And we're not best friends today by no means, but I can at least walk by him without looking down. But that was a demoralizing situation. Run up in front of all your peers and stuff, and hit somebody. The big book talks about a pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, and I don't believe that's something that happens while I'm drinking. I think that's something that happens after I stop drinking, and I start my conscience starts talking to me, and I start looking and realizing what I've done and how I've been and the people I've hurt. And I carried that right off into Alcoholics Anonymous. And you're not going to hear this word or in no dictionary or nothing like that, but I think y'all remoralized me. I was a demoralizing act. In most situations, I would have been kicked out of any group. Imagine me run up, hit the preacher. Well, don't come back here no more, Mike. But that ain't what happened in Alcoholics Anonymous. I had an opportunity to go back and make amends to that guy. I had an opportunity to have a support group that had been developed. Walter, Big Al, the men at the Creek Club, them old timers. They didn't say leave. They said sit down and shut up. Whole different ball game at the Creek Club. Now, I'd have pulled out the creek. Oh, Bubba, get the door. Look like Mike wants to fight. About 6 of them had whooped me right there. Power greater than myself. That house that I was renting, I started building stuff onto it. Never had a home before. I liked the idea of having a porch, so I built one. Wanted a back room, so I added a back room. Wanted a carport, put a carport. Needed a new roof, put a new roof. People would come by and visit me and say, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm adding on the back room." I said, "Mike, you don't even own this house." Well, I've never had a home before. I always wanted a back room. I ain't gonna sit on the couch. Had my little garden and stuff going on. And the guy that owned the house come by my house one day and said, "Mike, my wife told me to tell you she loves you." Swear to God. I said, "I don't know your wife." He said, "You're the best renter we've ever had. And we're going to retire and we want you to have this house." Still there. Me and Terry live in it. Real nice, too. If you just go in there right now, everything's put up. It's a nice home. It's a real nice home. What a deal. 14 years later, 14 years actually, I moved in there when I had 6 months of sobriety. Started going to meetings at the Wheelhouse, a men's detox, one of the detoxes that I frequent. I still make a meeting there. On Wednesday night, if you're ever in the Deer Park, Houston area, come out to the Wheelhouse. I think it's the best meeting in the week out there because I'm cheering it. And for the last 6 months, every Wednesday night, we read page 30 and half of page 31 in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Because there's such a turnover there. Every 30 days there's new men. And I want them the opportunity to look at the meat and potatoes of what exactly is going on here. Where does the problem lie? What's wrong with Mike that I keep picking up that drink time after time, destroying families, destroying myself, seemingly without even thinking about it? Somewhere around page 30, it says that if the alcoholic picks up a drink, it always gets worse, never gets better. It's real clear about that. And I read that every Wednesday, and I add this to the back of that. If an alcoholic gets into Alcoholics Anonymous, it always gets better, it never gets worse. Always gets better, never gets worse. But my mind will tell me it's getting worse because the problem centers in my mind. Skid Row's not a spot somewhere in New York Boweries. Skid Row's a point between my ears. And I can go there right here in Alcoholics Anonymous and think my way right out the door. Thank God for 5 to 7 meetings a week for the first 5 to 7 years. Stay in here. Come every day you can. Come on up here, buddy. No, I'm joking. Hey, he had a monkey on his back earlier. I got a buddy of mine says, let me see if I get this right. Just because I stopped drinking, just because I got the monkey off my back, don't mean the circus ain't still in town. Look here, this guy was supposed to give me about a 5-minute introduction. Look, I pulled this out of my pocket so we can talk now. Oh, he's working some kind of spiritual program. They won't have nothing to do with that. Let's see. I got the part where I graduated from college because I didn't get out to 8th grade. It's like I ever been to a college. Oh, yeah. 4th year. Got that house, carrying the meeting. Now I'm starting to carry meeting down there to the Wheelhouse, which is a true privilege. I wish everybody could sit in front of a detox and chair a meeting and look at them guys or women looking back at you. Them some hungry folks. I get the duty and the honor and the privilege of carrying the message. And the longer I'm around y'all, the less of a watered-down message I try to carry. You know, what I've found out with the drunk and what I found out with me, if somebody tells me the truth, if I tell the drunk the truth, he'll go think about the truth. I can't cram this program down nobody's throat, but I can tell them the truth, especially in the detoxes. I tell them the truth. You go back out there and take one more drink, it's going to get worse and ain't never going to get better. You stay in here with us, and we'll show you a new way and a new life beyond your wildest dreams. The big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, says, if I stick close to God, great events are going to happen in my life. Not good events, great events. Walter reminded me about some of those great events when we was driving up here today. That little ringer went off, and I knew it was a message, and I got up on that hill, and I opened it up and got that message. I'll be straight up with you. It brought some tears to my eyes. It's just unbelievable. Me and my lovely wife are coming over here to a conference with not a worry in the world. I'll call Walter up, and I'll tell him, Walter, I'm worried. He'll tell me straight up every time, Mike, if you're in charge, son, you need to be worried. That's what he said to this day. He always follows it up with this. Mike, if God's in charge, you ain't got to worry in the world. This program is so simple that I like to miss it. Clean house, trust God, and help others. How simple is that? Now, Mike's going to complicate that. Let's jump up to my 7th year in sobriety. Doing good. Somebody gave me a dog. Now, I don't know why they think a biker is supposed to have a dog. I've never had a dog before. You got to have an address to have a dog. This guy had a pit bull, and he had a picture of it with a little bandana on it. We'd be in the meeting. He'd set that picture up on my coffee cup. I said, I don't want the dog. Well, he finally got the dog to my house, and I ended up with a dog. Never had one before. Didn't know what to do with him. Well, some time went by, and I'm out in the front yard talking to somebody, and I'm real charismatic, and I got my hands waving around. The dog thought, I guess, I was going to attack him, and the dog bit me, jumped up and bit me, latched on pretty good. And I was in my shorts. I didn't have no boots on to make him pay or nothing like that. I'd probably still have the dog if I'd have had some way to teach him don't do that. So I run inside, and I've done slipped the gear. The other person left, and I've jumped time. And I go in, I get a gun. Now, I ain't never had a gun before. That's another thing y'all gave me in the program. Somebody said, you live in the hood, you need a gun. I'd never fired a gun before. I had this gun. Well, I grabbed the gun, and I run out, and I'm going to shoot the dog in my front yard. That's the 7 years of sobriety. I'm done jump time. I don't know if y'all ever jump time, but I done jump time here. And I popped at him a few times, and then I realized what's going on. So I go back inside. The dog's still out there looking at me like, what's he doing? I didn't hit him or nothing. I don't know how to shoot a gun. I've seen him in the movies. You put it sideways, and that's why. And I run inside, and I call Walter. That's my sponsor. Yeah, I'm trained now. I'm 7 years into this deal. You do something wrong, you call your sponsor and invite God in whatever order that happens to follow. So I call Walter. I said, Walter, I'm in a bad way. He said, Mike, I can't help you right now. I'm across town. I'm at Kay's house. That's his wife, but it was his girlfriend then. He said, she just busted some pipes in her attic, and there's water everywhere. I said, Walter, shots have been fired. He said, I'm on my way. Boom. He hung up. He just left her there. Call a plumber. I got to go. He come over there, and, of course, I'm peeping out the door, all nervous and everything. And I don't remember all the details other than the fact that the dog didn't get shot. And my neighbors didn't say nothing because they probably see that a lot. And I'm sure we ended up at a meeting somewhere and all that passed. Going back to my 4th year, I got married in my 4th year. I married a gal with, I think she had 10 or 12 years of sobriety. It lasted maybe 80 days, something like that. It was a disaster. It was a train wreck. And I've waited 10 more years. Me and Terry got married on Christmas Eve of last year. Can you imagine? What a deal. God almighty. Thing like me. People tell me she must be blind. So, well, she must be. We have a real good life, a loving life. We pray together. But I don't think I could have done that in my 4th year, my 5th year, my 6th year. I just didn't have enough on the stick. My 7th year, I jumped time. I tell you right now, I popped some shots off of my bulldog in my front yard. And I'm helping people. I'm an Alateen sponsor. I'm carrying the meeting into a detox, praying every day, doing what y'all tell me. I could come up here and lay some wild story on you. I guess it is kind of a wild story. Let's jump up, 10th year. I'm rocking and rolling, man. I'm on a spiritual plateau. Fixing to pick up my 10-year chip. 3 weeks before my 10-year chip. And I'm coming down to my house, and there's a quarry down there. And one of them dump trucks cut me off. And I followed them into the quarry, and I knew I shouldn't do that. You know how, I don't know if you ever done something, and you're thinking, don't do that, don't do that. But I'm doing it anyway. I follow this guy in the quarry, and he jumps out of his truck, and I hit him a couple of times. Get to my house, call Walter. And this is what he told me. I said, Walter, I just hit a truck driver. He said, Mike, he probably deserved it. Swear to God, that's what he told me. He also said, you know what? And he's kind of chuckling. He said, Mike, you ain't hit nobody in a while. It's kind of like throwing a dog a bone every once in a while. What he said. I got off the phone with him, and I just broke down and started crying. I couldn't handle it. What I needed to hear was, you no good, crazy son of a gun. What are you doing? Hitting a truck driver? What's wrong with you? I guess that's been a secret payoff my whole life. I don't know. He didn't tell me that. He told me he probably deserved it, Mike. When I got off of the phone with him, I got on my knees. I was crying, and I asked God to do something. I'd become ready, entirely ready. And I asked God to please help me stop hitting people. And I'm in it. I've always had some kind of working knowledge back here that men were supposed to fight. Drink and fight. That's what men do, and I've done it. When I stopped drinking, I kept fighting. You know the drunk horse thief story. We all know that. I got on my knees and I begged God to do something different, and he did. I was on a job less than 6 weeks later, and I'm climbing up on a crane. I'm a crane operator by now. Y'all make me a little bit smarter than Alcoholics Anonymous. Get off the beam, Mike. Get in the seat. Pull them levers. You make a lot more money. Well, I'm climbing up onto the crane, and I slip, and I fall head first off the top deck of a crane. Bust my wrist real bad, my hitting wrist. 50-plus breaks. Snapped my shoulder off. I've had like 6 operations. That was in 2004. Right after my 10th birthday. And now you do whatever you want. Walter said God will get as big a stick as he needs. And I volunteered for that one. Do something different. And he give me the opportunity. Now that I can't whoop nobody, I got to be nice. And you know what? I can't, the first time I had to be nice to somebody when I thought they needed a whooping, it was like you was hitting me with a stick. I stayed up all night. I couldn't hardly live with it. You know, it's kind of like that Freudian deal, whatever, a fall off crane, bad thing. No, good thing. And it was a great event in my life. Started calming me down in my 10th year. Started doing things different. That sponsor that I got after my 6 months, I kept him for about 4 years. And then I went to Walter. Well, that sponsor, somewhere about his 10th, 11th year, something happened to him. And I saw it. And I asked Walter, I said, what's happened to Don? Something's happened to him. He's changed. Walter said, that's real simple, Mike. Somewhere between 9 and 11 years, that's when the alcoholic ego is down far enough where God can do something with you. And I've really looked at that, and I challenge you to look at that. Look at the man, or look at your sobriety if you got over 10 years. Look somewhere in that 9, 10, 11. I know I changed. I got kicked off that crane. Time to do things different, Mike. And by God, we do a lot of things different now. Invite God in. If I don't know what to do, I don't do nothing. The big book says I pause when agitated or doubtful. I break down a little bit easier language for me. If I don't know what to do, I don't do nothing and invite God in. Let God have the results. He's big enough to cover it. He's covered everything so far. I stayed hurt for 2 years, opened up a motorcycle shop. Really not that good of a mechanic. Shop's never seen red. Gone straight through the roof. There was days when I would go up there in the morning, scared to open the door. And I'd call Walter, and we'd pray together. And then we'd invite God in. Leave the results to him, Mike. And I've opened that up and practice, like the 12 steps says I need to try and practice. That's all we're supposed to be doing, trying and practicing. Oh, I want to make a bigger deal out of it. I want to be Bill W. or something. Just don't work that way. You know, let me tell you my meeting schedule. Give you an idea what I do during the week. Monday night, I go to a group called the Waterfront Home Group. Been going there for a pretty good while now. I consider that my home group. Tuesday night, me and Terry spend time together. Quality time together. Sometimes we just sit there and watch TV, or she may want to tell me how her day is. I just mute the TV. Listen to her. What a privilege it is to have a wife. Wednesday, I go to the Wheelhouse, which I think is the best meeting probably in the country. Seeing how I'm chairing it. Thursday night, I go across town to a men's meeting in the Spring Branch Club. Great meeting. I think that meeting's helped save my life. It's been going on 25 years. Good meeting. Sometimes there's 100 men there. Weekends are open. Saturday, if I'm in town, I go to a body shop meeting. A buddy of mine's got a body shop. I happen to sponsor him. So we go in his body shop and we hold a meeting there. Sunday morning, I go to a meeting in the Santa Fe group. Bunch of bikers, but it's not strictly bikers. If you want to come there, you're more than welcome. Ain't no cliques in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, y'all know Joe and Maxine up there? That's what Maxine says. She's my grandma's sponsor. Her and Joe sponsor Walter. She tells me, ain't no cliques in Alcoholics Anonymous, Mike. If you're clicking, you're doing it wrong. It won't work. Everybody's welcome. Invite them. See what happens. You know, I went through a period there where in the morning, whenever I woke up, I wasn't saying my prayers, I'd get around to it. You know, when I was drinking my coffee or maybe driving to work or maybe sometime during the day. So what I'm doing now, and I've been doing it for a pretty good while now, as soon as I get up in the morning, if I go to the bathroom, then I go back and get beside my bed and I get on my knees and I invite God in. Every morning, on my knees, invite God in. Here's the prayer I say to God. It's real simple. It's right out the big book. I tell him, I thank you for waking me up sober and giving me a second chance. And I ask him to direct my thinking, divorcing it from selfish, self-seeking, and dishonest motives. Pretty simple prayer. And then the book suggests that I asked him, and I do this, to inspire my thinking. Give me an intuitive thought or an inspiration on what his will is, and I ask for the power to carry that out. And I especially ask where I can help the man who is still sick. That all comes straight out the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. And then I try to pray for folks that I think need it. And I believe it helps. It makes me feel better, I know that. And I also believe that if I ask God to look out for somebody to help heal them or to give them hope in their heart, that he'll do that. And then I get up and I go about my day. And sometimes I'll do a third step prayer while I'm down there. That always feels kind of good. If you ain't done a third step prayer in a while, try that one, man. It's just a sweet prayer. It's just a real sweet prayer. Kind of letting God have it and saying, hey, man, you got it. I can't take care of it. You're going to have to take care of it, and I'm going to let you do that. Just real simple. And then I try to remember that as I go about my day, I'm going to try to enjoy it. And if I can do that and leave the results to him, I have a smoking day. I'm talking about just a terrific day. In the evening, I get on my knees and I thank him for another day of sobriety. Real simple stuff. And you know, it kind of keeps me on the beam. I know that sounds almost hokey, but this thing works. You know, I could go and say, well, you can do whatever about the God business, but that ain't what the book's saying. The book said that I need to locate a God and start using him. That I can't get rid of this selfishness and self-centeredness without his help. It's impossible for me to get rid of it without God's help. Now, that's pretty clean cut there. If I don't have a God, I better find one. And if I don't believe in one, I need to try to talk to him anyway. The book says that if I have any concept of God, as long as it makes sense to me, that's sufficient. Let me see. I got a couple of minutes here. Me and Walter and two other guys, year before last, we flew up to Pittsburgh to watch a guy pick up his 20-year chip. I didn't know the guy. What a trip. Go up there with my sponsor and two other guys. We had a ball. Got delayed in the Chicago airport, but other than that, it was a good trip. Walter and I flew out about 4 years ago to watch a friend of mine in Los Angeles pick up his 15-year cake. They do it different out there in California. They give them cakes. I tried to tell them they were doing it wrong. They told me to sit down and shut up. We rented a GPS when we got to the airport. And I don't know if you ever had one of them. It was like we lived in Los Angeles our whole life. We could go anywhere we wanted to. And he pushed in where Chuck Chamberlain wrote that book, A New Pair of Glasses. It's, what's that beach down there? Laguna Beach. We pushed that in. And me and Walter went out there that Saturday morning, and we had breakfast over that Laguna Beach where he was inspired. And I can't tell you the deep feelings and the joy in my heart to sit there with my sponsor overlooking that. This program's given me a life. Without Alcoholics Anonymous, I believe I would be dead. I would be dead spiritually for sure. And I'll tell you what, I sure am glad Lonnie asked me to come up here and especially to be the Friday night speaker, because, man, I'm done, man. All we got to do now is come eat food and visit with y'all. And we really want to visit with you. If we don't say hi to you, please come up and say hi to us, and let's talk and visit. Shoot, we may never see each other again. We'll tell some stories. And we don't have to let the truth get in the way of them. Well, I'm going to end it like my sponsor ends it. He sings, but I'm not going to sing. I'm just going to say what he says. And he says, if you don't believe Alcoholics Anonymous works, try it. And if you don't believe God will help you, ask him. And thank y'all.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.